This video is about Zeus and Mount Olympus unleashes Thunderbolts until Tython flees to the Underworld. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the high heavens of Mount Olympus, where the air shimmered with the essence of divinity, the great god Zeus stood, his visage chiseled by the fires of power and lined with the wisdom of ages. The throne of gold beneath him gleamed like the sun, and the echoes of his laughter brushed against the clouds, yet a tempest brewed in his heart. The gods, luminaries of the pantheon, gathered in anxious assembly. Athena, clad in her gleaming armor, with wisdom in her blue eyes, was the first to speak, her voice carrying authority. The balance of our realms hangs by a thread. Father, Tython stirs in the depths of the underworld, seeking to break free from his chains. If he rises, chaos will reign. Zeus, his gaze hardened, his stormy blue eyes crackling with lightning. I know of Tython's ambitions, Athena. His ambition is a darkness that threatens to swallow the light of Olympus. We cannot allow such evil to seep through the cracks of our dominion. From the shadows of the council chamber, Hades, the dread god of the underworld, stepped forth. Why do you concern yourselves with Tython? He is bound by the very chains forged from the blood of the Titans. He cannot escape, lest the earth itself shifts beneath him. Yet Hermes, messenger of the gods, fluttered his wings, his voice a whisper of urgency. But what if he finds a way? The whispers of the underworld speak of a prophecy, a path leading to freedom, one that could shatter his bonds and unleash a malevolence unseen. As fear rippled through the assembly, a cold wind swept the room, causing the torches to flicker. It was Hera, queen of the gods, who stood, her beauty fading into a mask of concern. A prophecy can be molded by will and cunning. We must act before he garners strength. We cannot wait for Tython to make his move. Zeus clenched his fists, each crackle of thunder echoing through Olympus. Then we will strike first. I will unleash the Thunderbolts, a storm to shake the very foundations of his prison. Let the world tremble before the might of Olympus. With those words, he raised his hand, summoning the power of the heavens. Clouds swirled as bolts of lightning danced in his grasp, illuminating the chamber with an ethereal glow. The gods gazed in awe, for Zeus's wrath was a force unparalleled, capable of reshaping destinies. Yet even as Zeus prepared to unleash his wrath, a dark figure loomed beyond the horizon of his thoughts. Tython, the monstrous titan, had indeed been plotting from the shadows of the underworld. His eyes, cold black and filled with the void, sought vengeance against the gods who had overthrown his kind. In the dim light of his cavern, Tython was bound in chains forged by the hands of Zeus himself. Each link was heavy with the weight of ancient curses, but he was not without his strength. Fate, he whispered, a malicious grin spreading across his face. You may bind my body, but my spirit shall roam free. I shall find a way. As the gods prepared for battle, Tython summoned the remnants of his power, calling forth spirits of the fallen titans, their energy swirling like a storm around him. You who fell at the hands of the Olympians, he roared, rise and join me. Together, we shall reclaim what is rightfully ours. They arose, race cloaked in shadows, their whispers echoing with the fury of the lost. Under Tython's malevolent command, they surged into the realm of the living, their intent to instill fear and destruction upon the world that had forsaken them. Back in Olympus, Zeus, feeling the tremors of the impending conflict, turned to his divine kin. We shall not fight alone. Call forth the warriors of mortals, the brave and the noble. They will join us in this battle against Tython and the spirits of the fallen. And so the gods descended upon the mortal realm, seeking champions to stand alongside them. From the hills of Sparta emerged Achilles, a warrior of unmatched prowess, his blood coursing with the legacy of the demigods. You call, and I shall answer, he declared, his spirit aflame with honor. From the shores of Ithaca, Odysseus, cunning and wise, pledged his loyalty. Strategy shall be our greatest weapon, for even in chaos, we will find a path to victory, he promised, his mind already weaving plans like a master weaver at his loom. Yet it was not just the valor of the gods and heroes that gathered as they prepared for war. The whispers of Tython's minions reached the ears of mortals, twisting their hearts with fear. They began to rise, a dark army clad in shadows, their eyes gleaming with malice, intent on feeding the chaos that Tython aimed to unleash. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Zeus raised his thunderbolt high, igniting the night with electric brilliance. Tonight, we shall strike back. Let our enemies know the might of Olympus. Gather your strength, for destiny calls upon us. With a deafening crack, Zeus held the bolt, a streak of light splitting the sky, marking the beginning of an epic confrontation that would shake the very fabric of the universe. The clash of divine against the shadows of the underworld had begun, and the threads of fate trembled under the weight of impending doom. Meanwhile, far beneath the ground, Tython felt the surge of power as the thunderbolts struck, and his chains rattled ominously. So, the gods have chosen war. Let them come. I will not cower in the darkness. I will rise to meet them. The walls of his cavern shook as he channeled the fury of the Titans, his voice a defiance against the heavens. Let the gods come. I shall turn the light to darkness, and with it, reclaim my throne. The underworld shall be my dominion once again. As night fell, the armies of Olympus and the shadowy creations of Tython readied for battle. The air crackled with anticipation, the fate of the realms hanging by a silken thread. Heroes stood shoulder to shoulder with gods, awaiting the call to charge into the fray. And thus, the stage was set. In the dance of fate, destinies would intertwine, and honor would be tested. Tython's ambition would lead to a conflict that would echo through the ages, a tale of sacrifice, betrayal, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. As the first stars twinkled in a sky pregnant with thunderclouds, Zeus felt an ancient weight pressing upon him. He knew this battle would not only decide the fates of gods and men, but would also weave a tapestry of legend that would be told for generations to come. The first clash of titans was nigh, and with it, the dawn of a new saga, one not just of war, but of heroic sacrifice and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to stand against the tides of fate. The heavens and the earth held their breath, waiting for the storm to break. The sky above Mount Olympus roared as Zeus released a barrage of thunderbolts into the darkness, illuminating the battlefield below. The storm raged, each flash a promise of divine wrath, each roar a reminder of the gods' dominion. Mortals and immortals alike braced themselves for the cataclysmic struggle that was about to unfold. As the first lightning bolt struck the earth, it tore through the ground, sending a shockwave that reverberated through the hearts of warriors and monsters alike. Tython, feeling the tremors of battle, bared his teeth, reveling in the chaos that would soon engulf his foes. "Let them come," he bellowed, his voice echoing like a thunderclap through the underworld. "They will learn the price of defiance." Summoning the very demons of despair, Tython unleashed a horde of nightmares. Shadows twisted into grotesque forms, emerging from the darkest serpentine monstrosities, their scales glimmering like obsidian, and ghastly wraiths that wailed with the voices of the damned. With each utterance of their haunting symphony, the ground quaked as if the earth itself trembled in fear. On Olympus, Zeus stood resolute, his golden armor glinting under the fierce lightning. "To arms, my kin, and to our chosen mortals we shall shield our realm from the encroaching shadow." His voice, powerful and resolute, rang like a bell, instilling courage in the hearts of his comrades. Athena, her spear gleaming with divine light, stepped forward, rallying the warriors among them. "With wisdom and valor, we shall turn the tide of this war. Our unity is our strength." Her keen eye surveyed the horizon, where the armies of Tython loomed, a dark tide set against the backdrop of a stormy sky. Achilles, with his fierce gaze and clenched fists, nodded. "Let fire and fury guide our blades. I will carve my name into the annals of legend tonight." His voice held a promise of honor, glory, and the indomitable spirit of a hero unwilling to yield. From the edge of the battlefield, Odysseus, his mind whirling with strategy, raised his voice over the cacophony. "We must strike at their flanks, divide their forces. A united enemy is a formidable foe." The cunning warrior shifted, eyes narrowed as he spotted a cluster of Tython's minions gathering, their dark forms coalescing into a mass of shadows. The time for dialogue was over. With a mighty roar, Zeus hurled his lightning bolts into the oncoming horde, each bolt exploding upon impact, sending violent arcs of energy through the shadows, illuminating their grotesque forms. The air crackled with tension as the two sides collided, the clash echoing like the heartbeat of the world itself. The warriors of Olympus surged forward, blades glistening with the promise of divine power. Achilles led the charge, his sword slicing through the air, each strike fueled by the anger of 1,000 warriors. Wraiths disintegrated before his might, their anguished cries fading into a whisper of despair. Yet Tython's forces were relentless. One of the monstrous serpents lunged at Achilles, fangs bare, venom dripping from its maw. With a swift movement, Achilles sidestepped, driving his blade deep into its heart. The creature writhed, emitting a blood-curdling shriek before collapsing into darkness. Hades, watching from the shadows, felt a flicker of pride for the mortals fighting valiantly. "Perhaps these humans possess more grit than I presumed," he mused, his voice a haunting echo. Yet, deep within, he knew the battle was far from over. Meanwhile, Tython remained at the heart of the underworld, pulling upon the very essence of his fallen kin. "Rise, my brothers, let your hatred be our weapon." His voice reverberated through the cavern, awakening the spirits bound by chains of despair. They surged forth, a tide of vengeance ready to assail Olympus. As the battle raged, Zeus fought alongside his kin, every swing of his thunderbolt illuminating the sky. For Olympus, he cried, each word imbued with the weight of his divine authority. His presence alone sent shivers through the dark minions, their resolve faltering in the face of his wrath. Yet, amidst the chaos, Tython's minions began to regroup, surrounding the gods and their mortal allies. Odysseus, ever the strategist, saw the vulnerability and shouted, "Form a circle, protect each other, we must not let them break our lines." His voice cut through the din, rallying the warriors as they followed his lead. The clash of steel against claw rang like a morbid symphony, chaos engulfing the battlefield. Warriors fell, heroes rose, and the spectre of fate danced ever closer. Tython, witnessing the tenacity of the gods and their champions, felt his fury swell. "They dare to defy me, I shall unleash the full fury of the Titans upon them." He raised his arms, summoning the shadows to coalesce into a cataclysmic force. As night deepened, Zeus felt the surge of power emanating from Tython, a dark energy that threatened to engulf the very light of Olympus. "We must act now," he roared, channeling the storm above into a tempest of divine fury. "Let our voices shake the heavens." With a rallying cry, the gods and heroes surged forth, united like a single living entity, charging headlong into the abyss. The sky exploded into a cacophony of sound as Zeus unleashed an unprecedented storm of lightning upon Tython's forces. The shadows spiraled and flickered, caught in the riding fingers of divine wrath. Yet, amidst the chaos, a figure emerged at Tython, now towering and terrifying, his form wreathed in darkness, eyes glowing with a feral hunger for vengeance. "Your light shall be extinguished, Zeus, I will reclaim my throne," and with it, the dominion of the Underworld, he thundered, voice echoing like a death knell. Zeus met his gaze, unyielding. "You will not take what is not yours, Tython. Your time is done." And with that, he unleashed a torrent of lightning, the very essence of Olympus roaring forth in defiance of the Titan's claim. The two titanic forces collided, light against darkness, destiny against ambition. Tython summoned a wave of shadow, pushing against Zeus's wrath, and for a moment the balance teetered. The battlefield held its breath, heroes and monsters alike caught in the throes of destiny. As the battle reached its zenith, Achilles, emboldened by the clash of gods, found himself face to face with Tython's riding mass of darkness. "You will fall, Titan," he shouted, lunging forward, sword at the ready. He felt the weight of the ages upon him, the spirits of warriors past urging him onward. But as struck fueled by the fire of his ancestors, Achilles plunged his blade into the heart of Tython's shadow. A shriek erupted, unsettling the very foundations of the underworld as Tython staggered, rage twisting his features in a mask of anguish. "You dare," he gasped, and in that moment the dark power he commanded wavered. Seizing the opportunity, Zeus channeled every ounce of divine energy he possessed, the storm above roiling in response. "This ends now." With a final, a shattering roar, he hurled his most powerful thunderbolt, a celestial spear of unyielding will, driving it straight into the core of Tython's darkness. The explosion illuminated the night a brilliant light against the oppressive shadows. A shockwave rippled through the battlefield, sending both allies and enemies sprawling. As the dust settled, Tython's monstrous form flickered, revealing the remnants of his once mighty self. "I shall return," he hissed, shadows swirling around him. With a final flicker, Tython was drawn back into the abyss, the chains of the underworld reclaiming him as he fled. The remnants of his dark army followed, their cries echoing into the void. For now, the threat was quelled, but the war had only just begun. A silence fell upon the battlefield. The gods and heroes stood amidst the rubble, panting and bruised yet victorious. Zeus, his thunderbolt dinning, turned to his kin, pride swelling within him. "We have won this day, but the shadows will return. We must remain vigilant." Athena stepped forward, her armor reflecting the light of victory. "Let this battle be a reminder of our unity. Together, we can face any darkness that dares challenge our light. We will forge a future brighter than the dawn." With determination etched upon their faces, the gods and their champions vowed to stand together against the brink storm. The threads of fate had woven them into a tapestry of legend, bound by honor, courage, and a timeless struggle against the shadows that sought to consume their world. And thus, their saga continued, for the battles of gods and titans were far from over. Within the hearts of mortals and immortals alike, the embers of destiny flickered, awaiting the next call to arms, as the storm clouds of fate gathered on the horizon, whispering tales yet untold. The aftermath of the battle echoed through the ruins of the once proud battleground. Clouds of crystalline lightning lay scattered upon the earth, the air still charged with the remnants of divine confrontation. Zeus, his chest heaving with the weight of triumph and fatigue, surveyed the remnants of Tython's dark army. The shadows wane, retreating into the depths of the underworld, their malevolent whispers fading into silence. Athena stepped beside her father, her gaze sharpened by the lessons of war. It is not yet time for celebration, father. Tython may have fled, but he has not been defeated. His ambitions will only grow, nursing the vendetta birthed from this confrontation. Zeus, still gripping his thunderbolt, nodded gravely. You speak the truth, Athena, but we must also allow our spirits to breathe. We have achieved a victory today that will resonate through time. For every titan that rises, we shall stand ready. From the ashes of the battlefield arose the heroes, Achilles and Odysseus, their bodies battered but their spirits undeterred. Achilles, bloodied and breathless, let out a fierce laugh. If we stood against death and darkness today, what shall a mere mortal fear on the morrow? Let our names be etched in the stars for all eternity. He raised his sword high, its blade glinting in the waning light. Odysseus, leaning heavily on his spear, smirked at his friend. A noble sentiment, Achilles, but rest assured, our names shall be sung in taverns as long as there are fires to warm the hearts of men. Still, we must be wary. Tython will seek vengeance, and shadows often hide in unexpected corners. As the heroes surveyed the battlefield, the gods descended one by one, their forms radiating divine light, mingling with the mortal warriors. Here, her expression a blend of pride and concern, stepped forward. We have witnessed the strength of our unity, but we must also prepare for the trials ahead. We cannot afford to grow complacent. Complacency is the enemy of valor, Athena added, her voice steady. We must harness this victory to forge alliances, not only with mortals but with each other. The threads of fate are still entwined in dark prophecies. Suddenly, the stillness was shattered as a messenger spirit, a shimmering figure with wings of gossamer light, appeared before them. Great Zeus, King of the gods, a foreboding vision has reached me from the depths of the underworld. Tython stirs anew. Gathering strength from the despair of the fallen, he plots his return. The words hung heavy in the air, and Zeus clenched his jaw. Then we must act swiftly. The chains that bind him are not only forged in steel, but in the will of the gods. We must reinforce our vigilance in the realms above and below. As the divine council gathered in a more frenzied assembly, each god began to share their insights, crafting strategies and plans that spanned both terrestrial and celestial realms. Hades, with a somber tone, addressed the gathering. If Tython seeks to escape his prison once more, we must ensure that he is met with unyielding resistance. I will not allow him to bring his wrath upon the living. A murmurous agreement rippled through the assembly. Yes, but we must also unite the scattered remnants of the Titans, Hera suggested, her voice laced with urgency. There are those among them who still harbor loyalty to their kind. If we can sway their hearts, we might forge an army strong enough to stand against Tython's return. Athena, ever the strategist, turned to her father. We must also look to the mortal realm. Many of the champions who fought today possess the fire of legends in their hearts. We can call upon their strength, for they have tasted the bitterness of war. With renewed determination, Zeus raised his thunderbolt, its power crackling through the air. Then let it be so. We shall gather the heroes of the mortal realm, unite the gods, and prepare for the trials that await us. We will not let Tython return unchallenged. As the divine council dissolved, preparations began in both Olympus and the mortal realm. Messengers flew forth, spreading word of the impending darkness and calling for heroes across the lands. From the valleys of Arcadia to the hills of Ithaca, warriors rallied, each one eager to answer the call of destiny. Meanwhile, in the depths of the underworld, Tython writhed in anguish and fury. Bound in chains that glimmered with the light of the gods, he seethed. This is but a setback, he growled, the shadows swirling around him like a storm. I will not be contained. I shall reclaim my throne and rule both realms as I was meant to. The spirits of the fallen titans, drawn to his fury, flickered into view. What is your command, Tython? They whispered, their voices a chorus of despair and rage. We shall rise again. With a fierce grin, Tython raised his arms, and the very essence of darkness began to coalesce around him. You are bound by chains, but I shall offer you freedom. Together, we shall harness the despair that festers among mortals. We will awaken the Titans, and when the time comes, we will bring Olympus to its knees. As the spirit swirled around him, the energy began to fuse with Tython's own, igniting a power that threatened to break his chains. Yes, together, we will shake the foundations of the earth. We will summon our vengeance upon the gods. Back in Olympus, the preparations for war continued, but the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily upon the gods. It was Hera who first noticed the change in the winds, the subtle shift in the air that heralded Tython's growing power. We must not let fear cloud our resolve, she called out, trying to lift the spirits of her kin. Instead, we must use it to sharpen our focus. We will not falter. The day of reckoning approached, and the heroes began to gather in Olympus. Achilles stood proud, his spirit ignited by the prospect of adventure. Let us forge our destinies anew. Let each of us stand as a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Odysseus, ever the tactician, began to organize their ranks. We must know our enemy and anticipate his moves. Tython's strength lies not only in his physical might but in the shadows he commands. We must be vigilant. Suddenly, the air shifted as a gust of wind swept through the assembly, carrying with it the essence of an ancient presence. From the shadows emerged Themis, the goddess of divine order, her eyes gleaming with wisdom. Heroes and gods alike, the balance must be restored. Tython seeks to disrupt the harmony of the realms, but you possess the will to defy him. With those words, the heroes felt a sense of purpose swell within them, a deep-seated conviction that they would not let darkness claim their world. The time for preparation had come to an end. It was now time for action. As they descended into the mortal realm, the gods and heroes united their strengths. Each warrior felt the pulse of the earth beneath their feet, a reminder that they were bound together in this fight against destiny. With Zeus leading the charge, they made their way to the ancient ruins where Tython had once roamed unshackled, a place steeped in whispers of the past. The clash of swords against shields rang out through the valleys as the forces of Olympus gathered. With each passing moment, the sky darkened, swirling with ominous clouds as Tython's power began to emerge from the underworld. The heroes stood shoulder to shoulder, the gods towering above them, a fierce testament to the strength of unity. As the first shadows began to materialize before them, the ground trembled, shaking with the fury of the impending storm. Tython's laughter echoed through the air, a sound filled with both madness and ambition. You dare challenge me again, Zeus? You think your pathetic mortals can stand against the wrath of the Titans? Zeus stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. We are not alone in this fight, Tython. We fight not only for ourselves, but for the balance of all realms. Your hunger for power will be your downfall. With that declaration, the sky exploded in a clash of thunder and lightning, illuminating the battlefield as the two forces collided. The light of Olympus clashed against the darkness of the underworld, each hero and god playing their part in the epic saga that was unfolding. Achilles surged forward, his blades slicing through the shadows, while Odysseus strategized with the others, directing their attack upon Tython's minions. The heroes fought valiantly, their spirits ignited by the fire of their shared purpose. As the battle raged on, Tython unleashed waves of darkness, sending his shadowy minions surging against the valiant warriors. The clash of steel against claw, the cries of the fallen, and the roars of the mighty filled the air, a cacophony that would be remembered for eternity. With each pulse of energy unleashed, the battlefield transformed into a vivid tapestry of light and dark. The gods called upon their powers, channeling the essence of creation itself into the fight, while the mortal heroes, with their unyielding will, carved their path through the shadows. But amidst the chaos, Tython loomed larger than life. As the battlefield surged with the energy of the conflict, Tython towered like a mountain of shadows, every sinew of his monstrous form crackling with dark power. A tumult of emotions surged through his essence, rage, hatred, and an unyielding desire for vengeance fused into an overwhelming force. You think your pathetic light can overcome my darkness, he boomed, his voice echoing across the war-torn landscape like thunder, instilling fear even in the bravest of hearts. Zeus, resolute and unwavering, stepped forward amidst the chaos, his thunderbolt crackling with divine energy. You are mistaken, Tython, we will not let your darkness consume our world. He raised his weapon high, and the heavens responded, dark clouds swelling into a tempest, their fury kindled with the promise of divine wrath. Around him, the gods stood united, each embodying the essence of their domains. Athena, armored in radiant light, brandished her spear, her keen eyes focused on the battlefield. We shall show Tython the strength of our unity. Let our will be the blade that carves through his darkness. The warriors beside her felt emboldened, their spirits ignited by her words. Achilles, ever the embodiment of valor, let out a battle cry that resonated through the air. Together, we will carve our legacy into the annals of history. I will not let fear grip my heart. He charged ahead, his sword gleaming as he struck down the first of Tython's minions, a grotesque wraith that shrieked in agony as it disintegrated into shadows. Odysseus, standing beside him, raised his spear high, directing the flow of battle with precise strategy. Hold the line, protect each other, we must not falter. The mortal heroes rally, forming a united front against the approaching tide of darkness pouring from Tython's monstrous form. The clash of blades against claws rang out like a symphony of chaos. Tython's minions surged forward, serpentine monstrosities, ghostly wraiths, and shadow figures, all aiming to engulf the heroes in despair. With each strike, Achilles felt the weight of destiny upon him, a fierce resolve driving him onward as he cleaved through the darkness, his blade singing with each victorious arc. As the battle raged, Zeus channeled the tempest above, his authority amplifying the very fabric of existence itself. By the might of Olympus, I command the storm. He hurled his thunderbolt, striking through, and a blinding flash illuminated the night as it erupted in a brilliant explosion, scattering Tython's forces like autumn leaves in a gale. Yet Tython was undeterred. You think your flashes of light can stop me? I will unleash the true power of despair. He raised his arms, summoning a vortex of shadows that spiraled around him. The very ground trembled as darkness swelled into a monstrous tempest, threatening to engulf everything in its path. Athena gritted her teeth, her mind racing. We must strike at that vortex. It is his source of power. With a fierce determination, she rallied the gods and heroes. Focus your attacks on the shadows. We will sever his connection to the Underworld. Onward! Zeus commanded, leading the charge. The gods burst forth, their powers intertwining like a woven tapestry of light. This heightened summoned tidal waves of energy, crashing against the shadows, while Ares thrust himself into the fray, a whirlwind of fury, his sword slicing through the air with deadly precision. But Tython, seeing his minions falter, unleashed a roar that shook the very heavens, his voice a malevolent symphony of rage. You dare challenge me? I will drown you in darkness. With that, he unleashed a wave of shadowy terror, and the battlefield erupted in chaos as the darkness surged, wrapping around the heroes and threatening to pull them into the abyss. Stay together! Odysseus shouted, his voice cutting through the din. He grabbed Achilles and pulled him closer. We must break through the darkness. Focus your hearts. Together, they charged forward, their spirits ignited by the bond the shared warriors forged in the fires of battle, fighting not only for themselves but for each other. As they advanced, Achilles felt a surge of strength surge through his veins, the legacy of his ancestors urging him onward. His sword struck true, cleaving through the shadows that surrounded him. We will not yield. I refuse to let the darkness claim me. His words rang true, and the warriors behind him echoed his resolve. But as they pressed forward, Tython loomed larger, his form growing ever more monstrous. Foolish mortals, you cannot hope to defeat me, he bellowed, unleashing a torrent of shadows that struck like vipers, each tendril seeking to ensnare the heroes. In that moment of desperation, Zeus lifted his thunderbolt high, illuminating the battlefield once more. I will not let this stand. With all his might, he hurled the thunderbolt into the very heart of the vortex, sending forth a surge of divine energy that exploded like a supernova, scattering the shadows and illuminating the darkened skies. The shockwave reverberated through the battlefield, sending Tython staggering back. What he gasped, his hold on the shadows faltering. No, this cannot be! The dark tempest around him began to flicker, revealing glimpses of the Titan's true form beneath the shadows. Seizing the opportunity, Athena rallied her companions. Now, strike together, we will shatter his hold! The gods and heroes pressed their advantage, each one lending their strength to the collective force of light pushing against Tython's darkness. Achilles, fueled by the spirit of battle, surged ahead, his heart ablaze with determination. This is our moment, he roared, charging towards Tython, sword raised high. I will carve your name into oblivion. With a mighty stroke, he lunged forward, aiming for Tython's core. But the Titan, sensing his impending doom, retaliated with a desperate fury. You will not take me so easily. He unleashed a wave of darkness that struck Achilles like a tidal wave, sending him crashing to the ground. Achilles! Odysseus cried, the warrior's heart clutching at the sight of his friend falling. Get up! He bellowed, rallying the others. We cannot let him fall now. With sheer will, Achilles rose to his feet, bloodied yet unbroken. I am not done yet, he shouted, igniting the fire within him. The spirits of my ancestors guide me. He charged once more, unwavering in the face of despair. With the gods rallying around him, they pressed forward, Tython's shadowy defenses crumbling under the unrelenting assault. Zeus, with a roar that echoed through the heavens, summoned the storm once again. Together, he cried, as thunder rumbled and lightning cracked through the skies. We shall not falter. The divine energies infused the warriors, each god and mortal hero feeling the pulse of unity, the strength of their combined wills lifting them higher. Tython, now visibly weakened, snarled in desperation. You think this will end me? I shall rise again. I will not be bound by your light. But in that moment, Achilles found his focus, channeling the essence of every hero who had fought and fallen before him. Let this be your end, Tython, he shouted, bringing his sword crashing down with all of his might. The blade struck true, piercing through the darkness and plunging deep into Tython's core. A blinding flash of light erupted from the point of impact, illuminating the battlefield as though the sun itself had burst forth. Tython howled, a sound of both rage and despair, as the darkness that had once enveloped him began to unravel. As the shadows receded, the Titaness form flickered, revealing his true self, a figure marred by ancient scars and the weight of countless defeats. "I will return," he whispered, his voice a fading echo as he was drawn back into the depths of the underworld, his essence swirling in a vortex of darkness, bound once more by the chains of his own making. And as the dust settled upon the battlefield, silence enveloped the warriors. The victory was theirs, yet the weight of what had transpired hung in the air, a reminder that darkness could return, that the battle was but a chapter in an epic tale still unfolding. Zeus, panting and perspiring from the exertion, turned to his kin and the brave mortals who stood beside him. "We have triumphed today, but our vigilance must not wane. Tython may be defeated, but the shadows will always hunger for the light." Athena stepped forward, her spear shining with the brilliance of hope. "Let this battle be a testament to our unity. We are strongest together, bound by honor and the courage to face the darkness that looms." Achilles, still clenching his sword, nodded fervently. "Let our names be sung through the ages. We are the guardians of both realms, and we shall rise against any threat that dares to challenge our dominion." And so, in the aftermath of battle, the legends of gods and heroes intertwined, echoing through the ages, a saga of bravery, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle against the shadows that sought to consume their world. The light of Olympus burned bright,